Hey everybody, Joe here, back with a watch review. This is a week on the wrist type of review. I received this Yema Superman Full Lume just about a week ago, and I made sure to wear it every day and every night. I've had this on my wrist nonstop all week, which is a big break from my normal routine of swapping watches sometimes twice a day, but definitely every day I wear a different watch. But I wanted to wear this for a good week, get a good feel for it, get my likes, my dislikes, and just talk about it. And I'm going to try to keep this pretty short. I'm going to aim for 5 minutes. It may run a little bit longer, and that's okay. We'll just get through this real quick, though. I don't want to take too much time. So anyway, let's jump into it. So this was announced a couple months ago as a limited edition from Yema. It is a 1 of 500 piece limited run. These came in 41 or 39 millimeter cases. Quick specs, 316L stainless steel on the case bezel and bracelet. The Super Lume that they use for the dial is a BGW9 grade A Super Lume. The movement, it is a Yema in-house Yema 2000, 29 joule, 28,800 beat per minute, beat per hour. Pretty standard stuff there. Yema in-house movement, I have several watches with in-house Yema movements, and I have not had any issues whatsoever. 41 mil on this, so it's 41 millimeter wide. Lug to lug is 49.5 millimeters, and the thickness is 13.2 millimeters. On the 39 mil, of course, the width is 39 millimeters. The lug to lug is 48 millimeters, and then the height drops down to 13 millimeters. Not quite sure why the height drops, but that's what they say on the website. The crystal is a double dome, typical Yema double dome sapphire crystal. And then other than that, you got your typical diver security class block system. You have a extension for going over a dive suit. This is wanting to focus on those, so we'll move them out of the way. So you do have an extension for going over a dive suit. It's a little bit longer of an extension than I've seen on other dive watches, but it works. It's fine. You do have a lot of micro adjustments. You have 4 micro adjustments here. You have 2 micro adjustments here. And like I said, the clasp, all stainless steel. Really nice, standard fare stuff. This could be a little bit nicer, this part of the clasp here. Now, I understand this is going to be your sacrificial piece of metal. This is what's going to rub on stuff, on tabletops, things like that. It is going to be sacrificial, I get that, but it could be a little bit nicer piece of metal. Now, I'm not expecting, Rolex Submariner level clasp, but just something a little bit nicer. This is pretty standard stuff. You see this on a lot of really nice micro brand divers, but for the price point of nearly $1,000 US, this could be a little bit nicer. That actually, surprisingly, is really only my only real gripe or dislike about the watch, is just this metal here in the clasp. Could be a little bit nicer. It's not that it's finished poorly, but it's just a stamped piece of stainless steel. It could have been a little prettier, but going with the overall theme of what this watch is, it is a completely brushed watch. The bracelet is brushed. It does have this nice taper, by the way. It is a 20 millimeter wide lug on the 41 mil. The 39 mil is a 19 millimeter lug. But you have this nice this nice brushed finish across the bracelet. You have this nice brushed look on the case and on the bezel as well. On the dial, I'm going to zoom in right here. On the dial, of course, it is a full lume dial. And if you saw in the thumbnail at the beginning, or the video of this, the thumbnail, it is the all lume bright It's really, really bright. It holds its brightness for a long time. It does get dimmer, but I haven't timed it, but I haven't had to. It's very, very bright. It's very intense, and it does hold its ability to read the dial for quite a while. The markers are all printed very nicely. It's very clear to see, both in light and dark, against the white dial in the light and the lume dial in the dark. The Super Lume is also, of course, present on the hour, minute hands, as well as the end of the shovel second hand. Traditional, very typical Yema hour and minute markers, as well as the second shovel head or shovel hand second marker. Typical Yema bezel lock system. And it's just this little piece of metal here that is held down and clamps against the bezel using the crown. I don't know if they've changed something, but the bezel sounds really good. Very positive, audible clicking. I like that a lot. Very little to no backplay. So very, very nice. The bezel action on this is really nice. I enjoy it. I sometimes will actually play with the bezel as kind of like a fidget spinner in a way. Just when I'm sitting in my office and just thinking whatever. And one of the features about this watch that I like a lot is that it is a no date. I find that my tastes, especially when it comes to a tool dive watch such as this, is that the need, we'll keep it simple, the need for a date window or a date complication is not needed. It's not a necessity. This type of a watch would be used for diving. You're going to dive, you want to know the time, and you want to know how much oxygen you have according to your bezel. So that's all this is really meant to be. This is a very traditional, old school style dive watch. It's all brushed. It's not polished. It's not made out of precious metals. It's just a no frills, no nonsense dive watch. And that's what I love about it. This is what all dive watches were 50 years ago. This is what Rolex Submariners were 50 years ago. They were just a no frills dive watch. It was a tool. It was meant to be used and abused, and eventually you'd break it and you get it fixed, and if you couldn't fix it, you replaced it. And that's just the way it was, and that's the way it should be. I appreciate that. But it's a fine watch. For the price point of $1,000, or a little under $1,000, you get sapphire crystal, you get in-house movement, you get a really nicely made tool watch. But don't compare it to a luxury brand watch. It's not a 50 Fathoms. It's not a Submariner. That's not what it is, and that's not what it's trying to be. It's just trying to be a honest tool watch, an honest dive watch. And as you could tell, I brought these because you could obviously see I have kind of a thing for Yema limited editions. So this is a Yema limited edition Air Force watch that's a couple years old. And this is an in-house movement. And then this is a Yema GMT bronze, also with an in-house movement. So I kind of have an affinity for Yema Supermans in limited edition. So on the wrist, all goes on real nice. Now, I will say this, and we're running up against 10 minutes, so there goes my 5-minute review. I have 7 1/4-inch wrists. This is a 41 millimeter diameter watch, but you do have to take into account that it is 49, almost 50 millimeter lug to lug. And the problem I ran into, and I did not think about this when I ordered, was on the bracelet, the first link of each end of the bracelet that connects to the lug, it does not have a lot of play in it. This is it. So it's almost as if this link and this link just act as an extension of the lugs. So that's something to take into account. I would say I am right on the border of being able to pull that off. If this was any bigger, it would start to look ridiculous on my wrist. And I have 7¼ inch wrists. If you have 7-inch wrists, 7 1/8, you may seriously want to consider the 39mm version. Now, these are sold out. Yema sold these out, I think, within a matter of a week or so. But I imagine you will see them popping up on the secondary market, as well as like the Yema watch owners groups on Facebook, things like that. I will imagine that people ordered it on a whim. They got it. It's not really their thing, not really their style. Maybe someone ordered a 39mm and they have large wrists, and maybe they want a 41 and vice versa. But the nice thing is, if you were thinking about getting one of these and you missed out on the 500 that were available, I would imagine you'll be able to pop for it on the secondary market and even save a little bit of money, especially if it's been worn. If it's new in the box and all that, you might pay the retail price for it, but it is a fine watch. It's great. The lume on this thing is outrageous. And the cool thing about it is, in this light, I'm in a bright room. It's a bright day outside, so it's hard to show the lume. But in this light, it's a really nice stainless steel watch with a white dial. If I go outside, I come inside, not even a low light, but even if it's just slightly dim in a room, you get that real soft bluish green hue. So suddenly the dial looks kind of like a light blue color. And then you get into a darker situation, and then the lume on this thing is just glowing. So the watch itself kind of changes with the lighting and where you're at and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a chameleon. It's really fun in that sense that it kind of changes and it's different in different situations. So it's not just the same thing you're looking at. Depending on light and the room you're in and all that, it changes. So it's just kind of fun in that way. In the week I've owned it, I've noticed that, and I've had a lot of fun just with staring at it, just based on the lighting situation I'm in. So let's talk about packaging, what it comes in. So pretty standard fare, cardboard box. Now what did change, and I did not know this, and I don't know when Yema did this, but they swapped from this is the older style box you would get when you would order a watch. And it's a nice little travel bag. I've used these when I've traveled overseas and all that. That's great. But this is an upgrade, I would say. They swapped over to an actual watch roll, a nice leather watch roll. And it has Yema embossed on the inside there. The nice soft roll there to put your watch on. And I like the dark brown, or it's actually kind of a chocolate brown with the gold hardware. That's nice. And then it has Yema, the logo there, and then Yema embossed on the outside. So this is something I would definitely use for traveling. It's, kind of a nice little thing. Instead of this big box that you get with a lot of watches, this is actually useful. I've got expensive watches that come in these beautiful boxes, wood boxes and all this stuff, and they're just sitting in a shelf in a closet. This will actually get used. I actually do use these. I think this is the one I used when I was in Italy and France last year. But yeah, these will get used. So that's kind of cool. And then of course you get the little booklet, all that kind of stuff, and then your warranty, your model warranty card. And I will say this, I've never had an issue with any of my Yemas. This model. This has the old, I'm trying to remember, MBP 1000 in-house movement. This watch has the GMT movement. This is the Yema 3000 in-house. And this would be representative of the Yema 2000 in-house movement, which is just your simple, just standard watch. And I believe the Yema 2000 also will have a date complication as well. But this watch is a no date. I'm also curious to see, because Yema, before I even received this, Yema announced that they're coming out with an upgraded, or I should say a modernized version of the Superman called the Superman 500, which is a modernized version of a Superman, a standard Yema Superman. But it's going to have a 500 meter rating. Apparently they have redesigned some of the specs on the watch, the case, the bezel lock system. So they've done a few little tweaks and things like that to modernize it, they're saying. And of course, as I'm waiting for this, they announced that. And now I'm like, okay, great. There's another watch I'm going to have to get my hands on at some point. So, but I'm trying to pace myself on watches, but it's tough. There's just so much great stuff out there. So yeah, if you were thinking about getting one of these at the time of release and you either forgot about it, didn't do it, had second thoughts, and now you're thinking, I should have, try to find one second market on the secondary market. I don't think you'll regret it. I like this. I really do like this watch a lot. I've been wearing it now for a full week, and I haven't had this need or desire like, oh, I got to wear something else. This is just making me crazy. I really enjoy it on the wrist. The wife and I, we went out today. We were out and about. This is going to sound funny, but we took our duck flying. We have a pet duck. He's 2 months old. He's learning to fly, so we took him to a big soccer field and taught him to fly. So I was running around, with this watch on and stuff like that. And I'm treating it like a tool watch, and it's doing well. It's holding good time. It's gaining 4 seconds per day on me, which is acceptable. I believe this is rated up to, I want to say plus 10 is the limits, but this is plus 4, so that's been pretty good. So overall, like I said, build quality is nice. It's a typical Yema. It's what I know and what I expect from Yema, which is exactly what it is, just a good quality tool watch. And it's not crazy expensive. $1,000 is a lot of money. I do understand that. And I wouldn't say it's a luxury watch. It's not an entry level luxury watch. I would say it is a high-end tool watch. It's what a $300 or $400 Seiko is, a tool watch, but I would say it's the high end of what those are. $1,000 will get you a nice tool watch. So that's kind of where I rate this and kind of grade it. But anyway, like I said, I meant to keep this around 5 minutes. We're at 17. I'm going to shut up and get going. I'll let you guys go as well. If you have any comments, questions, please leave them below. But yeah, overall, good watch for the money, I would say. And I've really enjoyed it, and I'm going to continue enjoying it. So until next time, we'll talk to you later.